Hey guys, how's it going? I just wanted to do a video where I talk about some books that I have bought recently and that I haven't talked about at all yet. Mainly just because I never got a chance to talk about them after I bought them. So, just here to talk about these books. The first three are all books that I bought for a specific reason. As I'm sure many of you know, Steve Donahue is doing his Western Canon Starter Kit series, and I'm very eager to read through the list of books on that. I actually have read a substantial portion of them, of the books that he's listed. I can't remember how many I have read versus how many I haven't read. But it was something like 13 or 14 that I have read, and then like maybe 30 or so that I haven't, or maybe in the 20s. But anyway, I'm very eager to read through all the books on that list. That's my favorite series on BookTube right now, and, but anyway, so the books that I bought, the first was, The Dialogues of Plato. Now this book has a weird history, so I bought these books at the used bookstore here in town, and this book actually originally belonged to me, and I owned it for like a year and hadn't opened it once, and finally just thought, okay, well clearly if I haven't read it after a year, I'm clearly not that interested in reading this, or maybe I'll read it some other time in the future, the distant future, or something. And so I donated it to the used bookstore. And now that I want to read the books on the Western Canon Starter Kit, I just thought, okay, well, this has most of the dialogues that Steve listed. It has the Apology, Crito, Euthyphro, and it has the Symposium. It also has a few others, Phaedo, Protagoras, the Meno, and Gorgias. I don't know how you say that, but it has all the dialogues minus the Republic that Steve mentioned, but I already own a copy of the Republic, and I've already read the Republic twice. So I don't feel compelled to reread it anytime soon. But yeah, so I have that. They had this edition of Don Quixote. It's kind of a little beaten up. The spine is creased, but it has a nice floppy what do you call it? It's nice and floppy, so it'll be easy to read. I like it when paperbacks are like that. And it's translated by Walter Starkey. That's not one of the translations that Steve recommended, but it's an edition, and I do like to have books in hard copy, even though I'm not against ebooks at all. I like ebooks a lot, but I do like to have copies if I can. So I grabbed this one. Yeah, so it doesn't look it, but it is about 1,000 pages long. Yeah, it's over 1,000 pages long. So, which is to be expected of Don Quixote. But, yeah, so I had that. And then the last one that I bought that has to do with the Western Canon Starter Kit is Middlemarch by George Eliot. And, so, yeah, I don't know, it's just it's an old hardcover. In fact, I think it's kind of falling apart a little. It's kind of flimsy, but it'll work, I think. It's an old library copy, and I like hardcover, so I'm glad I got it in hardcover. So yeah, those are the three that I bought for the Western Canon Starter Kit. I have a few others that are on the Starter Kit that I haven't read yet. I have Paradise Lost by John Milton. I just got a PDF of the collected poems of John Donne from the internet. And actually started reading those, and been liking them a lot. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. I have the complete works of Shakespeare, obviously. But yeah, so towards the end of this year, after ShakeTube, I think, is over, I will start to try to read through the Western Canon Starter Kit, and my hope is that next year I can, like, read through the entire thing, because it's like been a goal of mine for a long time to be like well read in terms of like reading classics. That's why I read so many classics, and I mean I read classics also of course because I like them, but I've always been interested in having an acquaintance with the Western canon, and the only direction I had for a long time in that was the gigantic list that Harold Bloom included at the end of his book, The Western Canon, which is so huge that I was almost certain it would take me my entire life to read it. But so, like, Steve's series was kind of a godsend in that sense. Not to be effusive toward Steve, but it was great to have that. So anyway, on to books that don't have to do with the Western Canon starter kit. Although this one might, I don't know, Steve might end up mentioning this, but I got this huge edition of Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman with a nice introduction by Karen Carbiner, I don't know how you say her name, but yeah, so I have been reading out Song of Myself in some videos, and this is what I've been reading it from. Of course, I've fallen out of doing that after like 5 sections, but yeah, I'm glad to have this because I've wanted to read more Walt Whitman for a while, and yeah, I haven't read that much in there aside from Song of Myself, but I will one day. So that's all for the books that I bought recently that I haven't read yet. I'm going to do another video where I talk about books that I've read recently that I haven't read, that I also haven't talked about. So, yeah. Thank you, guys. Bye.